Hello and welcome to We Make Tomorrow 2022, and thank you so much to Kajali for the beautiful, energizing choral music to start us off today. And thank you all so much for joining us, both in person and online from all around the world. We really appreciate you for giving us your time and energy today. But first, a quick introduction. I'm Noga Levy-Rapoport. My pronouns are they, them. And for those who might need a visual descriptor or are watching us online, I'm a non-binary Middle Eastern person with dark curly hair. I'm 20 years old and I hopefully probably still look it. I'm a climate activist and a climate strike coordinator. I've been organising for a global anti-imperialist Green New Deal and for youth enfranchisement for the past couple of years. And I've channeled a lot of that energy into looking at the arts as a mode and as a site of resistance, whether that's from sustainable pop-up creative workshops to channeling climate action through theatre and opera and music. I first spoke at the We Make Tomorrow event in 2020, and honestly, it's such an absolute honour to be kind of your host for the day in this room. And you've just heard a wonderful performance from Kajali Kuyate. Throughout the day, we'll have more special performances curated by Maya and the Nest Collective. We'll have inspirational talks. We'll have discussions in the main 3 rooms. That'll be in here in the studio. And then after our first coffee break, we'll also have discussions and workshops in our secondary spaces, so in the suites and in our third space, the Library 101. We also have a couple of extra rooms you can go kind of in and out of throughout the day. We have a retreat space that's facilitated by Letters to the Earth, which is available for anyone who would like a rest. And that retreat can be found in the Berman room. I would point, but I actually don't know the layout too well. Just if you go outside, someone will be able to help you. We also have a screening area in the wintering room where we're playing a selection of video and audio pieces available and open for you to drop into and watch and listen all day. But maybe the most exciting part, the important housekeeping info. We don't have any scheduled fire alarms today. Please follow the rep and library staff and security if you do hear an alarm. And those emergency exits are really clearly signposted, so please use the main exits if needed. There are toilets on every floor. There is an accessible toilet on the ground floor and on the mezzanine floor. And there is also a prayer room available upstairs next to the wintering room should you need it. If you get lost, speaking of our wonderful volunteers, please do ask them. Volunteers and JB team, could you just give us a really big wave so people know who you are? Amazing. That's who you can call on at any point and ask for help if you get lost or not sure what to do. If you have specific accessibility issues, our support person is the wonderful Farah from the JB team. Please give a big wave. She's incredible. The Wi-Fi is UVB and the password was on the screen. If you did miss that, you will be able to find it again, I promise. And speaking of the internet, the hashtag is We Make Tomorrow. If you want to use it, please feel free to share that throughout the day on socials. But do know there are a few people who have a yellow dot on their name badge who don't want to be filmed. And generally, just please do ask consent if you're going to post something identifiable on social media. Catering, I know, very exciting, will be in the mezzanine area, and it's all vegan food. If you've requested anything specifically dietary, you'll need a separate plate. Do ask for that, that will be there for you. We've not printed any physical copies of the programme today, but you can find agendas all around the venue and a digital version on the online platform, which you can now get to using the Wi-Fi, which is now available to you. And you can also find the QR code on your name badges. So if you just point your phone at yourself, you should be able to find the programme. And speaking of the programme, every panel today will have an empty chair. That's not a mistake. The chair is to remind us all that we are not the sum of the climate movement. Whilst we have hundreds of attendees today, this is not everyone. But particularly, we're also here to represent the vulnerable ecosystems and people who are not a part of this conversation, cannot be a part of this conversation today. So please do bear them in mind when you're watching and listening to a panel or otherwise fascinating conversation. And if you hear a bell at the end of those conversations, please don't worry. We have a very packed schedule today, so that's just us keeping our amazing speakers on time, and obviously to make sure that you get to see and hear from everyone that you are desperate to see and hear from. So that's kind of, a lot of housekeeping done and out the way. Generally, though, we are also embracing digital interactivity, which is why I'm so glad you've all now got access to the Wi-Fi. Because as well as welcoming online attendees via the Hypersay digital platform, we're also using Slido to collect questions, which is really easy to use, and I can tell you that because my lecturers use it every single week. There is no need to download anything. You can just go to slido.com and you can enter the code #WeMakeTomorrow, just in case you forgot where you were. And then you'll be able to enter the access for the Q&A and interactivity for each session and contribute. And you can also use that Slido space to drop into the retreat session for Letters to the Earth to write your own if you don't want to or don't have time to drop by in person. And please do be very generous with your questions. We won't be able to get through them all, but Julie's Bicycle will be able to keep them all and then use them to inform their work, which is obviously incredible. And the agenda today is really packed. We know you might want to try to catch everything, but please don't worry, all the attendees from today will be able to access the content from this live stream and the screening room and the pre-recorded talks for 90 days after this event via Hypersay, which I know my mum, who wants to see everything, will be really excited about. And more details about that will follow in the coming days. We'll also have some roving mics for audience questions. If you are asking a question during a session, if you're brave enough, hopefully, please do wait for the microphone that our digital audience can actually hear you clearly, and also so those on stage can definitely hear everything you're saying. I think I've sort of been able to speed through all the housekeeping that's necessary. You'll be seeing a lot more of me today, but I just wanted to get the important stuff out of the way first. And again, if you're unsure or lost at any point, please do speak to our volunteers who gave you such a huge wave before that it would be impossible to forget them. And now I'm really pleased and sort of really incredibly honoured to introduce the founder and director of Julie's Bicycle, Alison Tickle.